What is up, everyone? My name is Gracey with Northern Astrology, and I am here today to talk about the NFL playoffs, specifically the Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. You guys might notice my shirt today. This is a sweatshirt from the Emily Simpson collection. If you go to emilysimpsonofficial.com, you guys might have seen my stream on Thursday night featuring the Real Housewives of Orange County's one and only Emily Simpson, like I just mentioned. And in order to pay homage a little bit more to her, I wanted to wear this sweatshirt. So, good morning, friends and haters. Yes. I have a very love-hate relationship with the good morning, grand rising community. Like, I don't like it when people tell me good morning, okay? I'm not a fan. So I like the good morning friends and haters. I'm calling my haters secret admirers this year, and boy, do they have a lot to secretly admire on just because of all the projects and all the things that I have going on, as well as the things that I've already done. Like you guys might notice, the Astrology of 2025 paperback is back in stock. So if you are brand new to astrology or a seasoned vet with astrology, there is something in that book for you. And it's a guidebook. It takes you through the steps of every single energetic feeling this year. Like, we have so much going on in the cosmos in 2025, and I wanted to be able to wrangle up some of the most brilliant minds that I know personally in astrology and get them together and create a book. And we created the ultimate guidebook. There is over 260 pages of information in here, and it's just incredible. So I'm really proud of it, and I want to say thank you to Alessia, Amanda, and Jamal again for being the co-authors of our first book. The Ninth House Publishing Group, aka my publishing house, was responsible for getting this one out. So I have personally taken on many of the things like getting it printed and back in stock on Amazon. I spent most of my week this week reminding Amazon that at any moment in time they could easily just print this book because they're Amazon. Like, I shouldn't have to spend multiple days of my life reminding a global book distributor that they have all the capability in the world to print a book. So that is the journey of self-publishing, and the journey of having a publishing house has been super fun for me to not experiment with, but kind of like learn as I go. It's very Aries of me to jump into a situation, have no idea what I'm doing, and figure it out on the fly. So I don't know, maybe that's just how I work best, but I absolutely love what we created, and I love what we did. And there's nothing on the fly about all the magic we poured into that Astrology of 2025 workbook. So I'm really excited that if you guys have the book, feel free to tag Ninth House Pub. It sounds like a drinking establishment, but one day it might be. You never know. And yeah, give us a shout out. Let us know that you purchased the book. I would love to hear any and all feedback. And yeah, there's ways for you to do that in the book as well. So yeah, just buy it and figure it out. You'll have a lot of fun. And if you can't find something about the book that you connect with or resonate with or whatever, there's also my actual personal email address in there, and you can reach me at any time, northernastrology@gmail.com. It's not that complicated. I get so much spam mail all the time just because people want to sell me stuff. I don't know if you guys anyone that has a YouTube channel probably gets SEO promo people hitting them up all the time. So yeah, I don't feel special. I just feel like I'm actually a creator when you have to tell people, no, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. Thanks. Creatives are forever finding their pace, finding their people, finding what inspires them, what drives them, and what mediums they prefer. So I think it's a lifelong process as we get older to find the things in life that give us joy, bring us joy, create joy in our lives, remind us of joy. So many things that we can look at when it comes to like how we can be more creative. So I think a lot of the focus right now, specifically in the energetic cosmos, is the intensity of a lot of the oppositions going on. Like for today's instance, we're going to pull up the game, and just starting out, we have a lot going on here, right? So when we look to the game chart, Once again, this is my method. It's something that I have. I don't know why I feel so tired all of a sudden. I think it's because I'm tired of explaining that, like, this isn't a method that anyone else has taught me. This is something that I have learned throughout my existence. I feel as though um, learning new things and creating new things is kind of like in my wheelhouse already. And let me make sure that I am all adjusted and ready to actually talk about sports astrology before I jump into it. There is just kind of like a standard routine I go to. So I look at the rising, see what the game chart is ruled by, go from there and kind of figure it all out. And we get to some sidetracks and we go all over the place. So for clarity, if this is your first time watching, welcome in. My name is Gracey with Northern Astrology, and I like to combine my love of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, I don't even try to hide that I'm a huge homer when it comes to my coverage of the Chiefs. Uh, I combine that love of the Chiefs with sports astrology. I'm like trying to figure out how it all works. I'm developing my methods as we go. Plenty would say that I'm successful, right? Like plenty would say that I've made appearances on places that some people can't even buy access to. I've shown up in local news. I have no problem sharing my love of astrology. I remind people it exists whether you believe it or not. You don't have to believe the moon is in Virgo today, but it is, and it does make an impact on you. So, looking at today's chart, we have it for 3:30 p.m., which is the kickoff time here in Kansas City, and that is in Kansas City, Missouri. We're using the tropical house system. Of course, I'm in smack dab in the middle of the United States. Tropical astrology is kind of my jam. I use a very specific degree based practice. So, to say it's unique would be an understatement, that's for sure. And I think that, like, as I get older and as I find new areas of astrology to kind of not conquer, because you never really do conquer astrology. You are the perpetual teacher and student whenever you study this ancient art form. And it can kind of be very humbling. You're like, I thought I learned that already. And it's like, no, you didn't. You might have thought that, but it comes back in a way. It's very circular. Astrology is a tool of measuring your place in time as well as the impacts and the influences of the cosmos on you. So, for instance, Cancer risings are ruled by the moon. So this chart is ruled by the moon, right? So we can tell, like, if this was a natal chart and if this was a birth chart, we would say that this person is ruled by the moon, and the moon is in Virgo conjunct the south node. They might be a little bit neurotic, and by a little bit, I mean incredibly neurotic. People ruled by Virgo placements in general are meticulous. They are not great at asking for help. So I'll be curious to see how this one goes for sure. With that Cancer rising being at 6 degrees, that is also a Virgo degree. So when I say that Virgos have a huge chance of just going off today and shutting out all of the Saturn and Neptune opposing noise that is happening as well, I really do think that I have it in my notes, my little Virgo notes. It's right there in my. I like to actually look at the numbers and the signs right before I get on air, and it gives me a little bit more flavor of the game. So, seeing that today was ruled by a Virgo degree, Cancer rising chart, and then that means that the moon is ruling the chart and setting the tone. Today is about getting the details ironed out. Today is about fine tuning the process and making sure that the methods in place are, accurate and well executed. So, yes, of course, we're going to know that Patrick Mahomes is a Virgo. There are other Virgos on the team, believe it or not. And most importantly, there are a lot of cancers on this team, a lot of Cancerian masculine energy, which is really cool to see. One of the biggest powerhouses on the Chiefs, Chris Jones, is a Cancer. So if you ever think that Cancers are all just about crying and emotions, look at Chris Jones, and then you can remember that that is a powerful human that doesn't have a quote unquote weak bone in their body, quote unquote weak, not weak. I don't know where that came from, but hey, it's Saturday morning. Saturn days and Saturn ruled days, like Saturday, of course. Saturday is the only Saturn ruled day. But Saturn ruled days feel very, very much like, have you done your research? Have you done your homework? Have you done the groundwork that you need to succeed? Once again, my Saturn's in the 6th house, so it's very much about the daily routine and process. So it's kind of fun, especially with my love of cannabis. I found out that Saturn also rules cannabis, and cannabis was something that I discovered in my Saturn return. So for those of you that see me smoke and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that somebody's smoking and also doing spiritual work. It's like, well, smoking leads to spirituality when you are incredibly grounded and earth dominant and Saturn dominant. I could not see the magic of this world until the plant based magic of cannabis came into my life. So let's just say that it was a huge instrument in my spiritual awakening process and the moderation of it. Having a healthy relationship with the plant also makes things better. So that's just your little Saturn lore for the day. If you're looking to develop a stronger relationship with cannabis, try smoking it on Saturday during the day. At night, the Saturnalia kind of energy kicks in and it can be a little bit more karmically paranoid or bringing out some demons that you didn't know lived within. So Godspeed you on that. I'm not a doctor, so please don't take this as medical advice. It's simply if you're learning to work with your Saturn more and you happen to have an Earth Saturn or Saturn in an Earth house, it could easily help. So there's that. Looking at the moon ruling this chart today, the moon is found in the 4th house, which to me represents the home team. So with that being said, I really think that that moon conjunct South Node in the 4th house is going to be going back to the basics for the Chiefs. They are the home team today, so it is going to be interesting to see their what they've been hiding. So the 4th house also is known as the house that is home to Cancer. Cancer is home in the 4th house, and that is also where your 27th year, some people know it as the 27 Club, and it's where people, mostly famous people, don't make it past the age of 27 because of that year being so intense. And a lot of people have given like really long dissertations like, this is this reason that the 27 Club exists through astrology, and this is this reason, blah, 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 blah. And it's just, it's a Cancer ruled perfection year. Like, it's really not that deep. The 4th house also represents that watery grave. So drownings around 27 are also somewhat not necessarily a theme, but it can be a theme for people with heavy water energy. And today's chart, honestly, if we're looking at it, has a lot of powerful water energy, and that will be the theme for January and February just because of all of the Pisces pileup energy that we have happening. Don't even get me started on February 28th, the lineup of planets happening then, and it's also happening on my BFF solar return. So I'm like, wow, what is happening in her life? That's going to be one for the ages that I'll be studying. But yeah, any Pisces placements, February is going to be a powerful month for sure. But yeah, all the water energy today definitely making an impact. Seeing that the moon is ruled by Mercury. We're going to look at Mercury next. Mercury is found in the 7th house in Capricorn. So bone health, joints, knees, once again, going to be powerful and a theme for today. So hopefully people have nurtured themselves with the sun ruling over the 3rd house, not the 2nd house. We aren't really looking at that, knee and joints being an impact for today's game. As far as like, I'm mostly seeing that as like they're not an impact injury wise. They're not going to slow down pace of the game, or there shouldn't be too many injuries in the first half. I think if there are going to be injuries, it would be in the second half, and that's when we would see more from either team. Until I get the individual teams pulled up here, I will not have that information in front of me. But having Mercury and Capricorn is like having a megaphone to your blunt, direct, non-filtered emotions. It'd be like having a main line just to like the zero filter part of your brain. And it's difficult for people with Mercury and Capricorn to soften their blows sometimes. And yet, when they have a great relationship with Cancer, or they start to understand Cancer energy as not necessarily an op, although it is the opposing sign, learning your shadow sign. Like I look at, if I have an Aries sun, the shadow to my sun would probably be Libra, right? And that is the opposite sign. So then like Virgo sun, your shadow would be Pisces. You're a little bit too in your head and you're supposed to be more in the clouds. That can be that access for sure. So there's so much about your opposition and the sign opposing the placement that you're working with that can really tell you a lot about how to navigate that. So for today, with Mercury and Capricorn being ruled by Saturn and Pisces, we go on to that Saturn position. That Saturn is in the 10th house at 16 degrees. We haven't seen Saturn here for a minute, so let's pull up that 16 degrees. It's in a quiet moment, a creative individual experiences the flow of inspiration. That is the karmic degree for Saturn today. Then the truth degree for Saturn is an Easter promenade. Fun fact, we actually have a new moon or full moon at this degree. I can't remember which one later this year because I did a Sabian symbol breakdown for that lunation. And then Pisces 18 degrees, which is the solution degree to today's Saturn, is in a huge tent. A famous revivalist conducts his meeting with a spectacular performance. So, hot take. That to me in this chart represents an insane rural farmer preacher energy, and if anyone could be that on the Chiefs team, that would easily be Harrison Butker. I do believe Butker is back in the spotlight a little bit more. Do I think today is a game of kicking? If it was a Pisces ruled chart, I would absolutely say yes. Since it is a Cancer ruled chart, it's all about the stomach and the womb and the chest area for both men and women. So the womb is obviously more specific to women with that one. So Cancer ruled is a little bit more like getting the wind knocked out of you kind of energy, but not necessarily that. Just because that is a little bit more Gemini rising or an air rising. With this one, it could be just an emotional game. This is like a very, can you withstand the intensity of the NFL playoffs? Because if you can, there's a huge prize in it for you. There's the Super Bowl. So that'll be for today's game. It'll be interesting to see. I do think that Saturn shows a little bit of shining light on Butker, only because Venus is right there too. Do I feel like it could be a little bit of an FU to Butker? Just because of his takes on what women should do with their free time and their careers. So it could be a little bit like people are more or less like looking at Butker to make the game-winning performance or the game-winning kick, and he might be more along the lines of feeling like, I can't handle the pressure. But I feel as though it'll show off his strengths and it'll show off his ability to tune out the haters. So the 10th house, you have a lot of haters. And for Venus to be on the MC today, I do not want to just skip over that just because we were talking about Saturn. Venus being exalted on the MC exactly for today's game. Women are playing a loud part in today's game. I can also say that because the 7 degree of Virgo, which is known as a harem in the Sabian symbols. If you guys are wondering like where I'm reading these from, I did not introduce the book once again. So here's this. It says, let me see if I can pull this off. I like how I'm live editing my tape job so you guys can see the full title of this book. I use it so much, I hold it together with painter's tape. Zero judgment. It is my Sabian symbol Bible. It is by Linda Hill, 360 Degrees of Wisdom. So that is where I get the descriptions from, and these like innate visuals, like an Easter promenade or a revivalist in a church or in a tent, um, talking to his congregation kind of energy. Like there's just so much about this Sabian symbol book that I think is spot on. Like people have really tried to redo the Sabian symbols, and I find it funny. I'm like, I find it entertaining that you're so dead set on you being more accurate than Elsie Wheeler and having a better interpretation that you want to make your own. But go off, I guess. I forever love Elsie Wheeler. She has her moon at 29 degrees Pisces, which is where today's North Node is. And that's also my MC. So I feel very connected to Elsie Wheeler. I feel very connected to Linda Hill, as I have a lot of similar placements and we have a lot of great synastry in her chart and my chart. So when I got to interview her for my Northern magazine, which if you missed it, I also publish a magazine. Here it is. No big deal. I have a publishing house, a magazine, a book, a live show, an astrology practice. I still meet with clients weekly. I am very busy with those as well. And it's like I look at every single person that I get to work with as a magical reflection of my own practice and maybe experiences that I've been through. Lately, I've been connecting with a lot of people that have very similar life patterns. And I feel like once we dare to look at our astrology and dare to see ourselves in a magical light, like we have so much that we can offer the world within ourselves that we don't even know about yet. So I'm really looking forward to more people being able to share their magic, mostly find their magic this year. If you've been waiting to understand your astrology or waiting to understand your personal like inner compass, you can always email me. I don't know if I've said that yet. I've said it 100 times on when I was doing the intro to the show. You can always email me. It's northernastrology@gmail.com. I love answering questions. You don't have to book a reading with me to talk to me. You don't have to wait until you buy my book to talk to me. You can reach out to me anytime. In fact, I feel as though some people I don't even speak to. There's some people that I don't even speak the same language as, and yet they trust in me to build them an idea of themselves and where to go in this lifetime, and really taking a chance to believe in things like astrocartography, which is something that I am fully and openly offering now for services. While I recommend Shadonis over everything always, I wish I could be wearing one of her necklaces today, but I will show you how beautiful they are if you guys can see that. Yes. That's the sun necklace, the Aries sun necklace. And Shadonis is an incredible astrocartographer. I've also purchased the guides from her to understand more about astrocartography and how it can expand your brain. So if you're brand new to it, she offers guidebooks over. If you're on social media, you can just look up Shadonis Shop and it'll take you right to it. And that's SHADONIS. And then shop, SHOP. I'm giving myself a tiny little spelling bee. It's fun. But it's like I feel so connected to maps and numbers and degrees and symbols that I speak them. It's something that I can't explain. I have a ninth house Pisces Mercury. So for anyone that knows astrology will know what I'm saying when I say that. So yeah, Pisces energy, it's pretty lit today. It's gonna be a big theme for the next month ahead. Obviously, with us dipping into Aquarius season, we're just getting closer to Pisces season. And Pisces is the ending, right? It's this massive ending. It's the death of the zodiac, and it's also the rebirth. You go through the watery womb to be merged and forged by fire, with Aries kicking off the start of it all. So while we had 2025 start off, I launched a project on January 1st, 2025. It is not the true new year. It felt like a true new year this year. It felt like we washed away everything with that New Year's Day. It certainly started a myriad of, activity in the cosmos. I think that there's been no shortage of that, as I think a lot of us can see that the divisiveness is slowly dwindling as we all, and here in the United States at least, kind of like prepare for helping each other out in these California fires. That the stream on Thursday, we posted some links. We, meaning me, myself, and the Frog Council that lives in my mind. We posted some links to the donations, the horse rescue that Emily was raising money for on IG, the LA fire, the Altadena mountain rescue, and the Altadena girls mission that was helping women get back on their feet with hygiene products, basics, necessities, all that. So if you scroll on my timeline on X/Twitter, it's Twitter, sorry. I put X on there just so I don't get like shadow banned by Elon for calling it Twitter. But we all know it's still Twitter. You can't change it. I do appreciate the attempt to, though. So yeah, we did that, and that was like a super, powerful way to start the new year, to see so much destruction and for people to realize, hey, we need better infrastructure. We need to help the people that are in need of help. I really hope for 2025 that we continue to band together as a race. We are all human beings, and that is our human race. And it's not erasing anyone else. It's simply realizing that we are more powerful together, right? So that's a theme for 2025, having so much of that Pisces energy and that Pisces North Node. It's like the, 2006, I believe, is when this last happened. So that for me was when I was graduating high school and going into equine science. I went to Colorado State and got my degrees in equine management and breeding techniques. And that was really cool. I got to work with Dr. Squires there, which, if any of you are familiar with vet med, Dr. Squires is the GOAT. He is the Michael Jordan of vet med, and that was where I got to learn from. And that was like an incredible opportunity. I met Wayne Newton's breeding manager, since Wayne Newton's had Arabians for decades now. And as well as Wayne Newton's daughter, we became close friends during that time. Then I got to go out to Vegas and hang out with him for a while and just experience the farm, experience life with Wayne Newton. It was pretty incredible. So I was certainly having a blast during that last Pisces North Node transit. So I'm looking forward to where I'll be this time around. It's just now started. It is my nodal return. So I'm pumped about it. So today, we are seeing a lot of dreaminess. If you thought the Chiefs' voodoo magic was bad before, now that we've got Venus and Pisces conjunct Saturn with Neptune and the North Node and a Pisces MC for today's game, that is going to be quite the experience for everyone. And the magic and the delusion and the deception and the veil being pulled off could easily happen today as well. So let's jump into this game where the Texans show up, because they deserve to have their praises sang too. This is a young team with a young quarterback, and I'd like to say that we were the young team and the young quarterback, but that wasn't really the case, because Mahomes is in his Saturn return now, and we've had him for about 8 years. So that's pretty amazing. But that is a Venus cycle, the Venus synodic cycle. That is a whole cycle complete. So I'm really looking forward to where 2025 takes Mahomes. But let's jump into CJ Stroud and the Texans. Starting off in the first house, we have Pallas Athena for the Texans, conjunct Mars retrograde there in the first house. Mars retrograde in the first house does indicate to me that this game could be low scoring in the first half. It could just be an all-out battle of defense and not much happening, right? The North Node in the second house, ruled by the moon of today's game being also in Virgo for the Texans. That's interesting. They're going through their lunar return. Learner return is where it's going. But yeah, lunar return. Having that North Node in the second house does help with the pace of the game for today. Today's game is really going to be about trusting your gut and following those instincts and razor sharp execution. So having a Virgo moon ruled second house is going to be interesting. Hopefully people nourish their bodies well before the game. Hopefully people took their probiotics. I mean, that's literally Virgo moon to me, is like, have you taken your vitamins and probiotics today? Shout out to Rihanna. Fenty, I love you. Best lip gloss to also smoke with. So she knows what she's doing. Speaking of Pisces placements, um, that North Node in the second house, I do think that the pace of the game could be decided by the Texans today. Just for they could easily have that upper hand at the start. Then we have the third house, which is all about communication and I think leadership and vocalization during the game. They have their Venus, which is at the Desperate Mermaid degree in the third house. So almost like having somebody come along and save them. That is the vibe for their communication. So maybe they're looking for somebody of authority to come in and help them, or a loud vocal leader on the team to come in and be like, yeah, we got this. Either way, their moon is also in the third house, so they will be wearing their emotions very, very obviously, and they could easily have some emotional outbursts. That's something that moon in the third house. I feel like I don't have to say that if you know anyone with a moon in the third house. It can be very like, okay, are you good? Like, where's this coming from? Have you been holding this in? I thought everything was fine, like that kind of energy. So I'll be curious to see how that shows up today for the Texans. So that'll be fun to watch for. Then we have their Libra sun in the fourth house of today's home team and the home energy. So I feel like they might, the sun in Libra is already at a detriment, right? I have an exalted sun in Aries. So I wake up every morning with the fire of 1,000 suns. My Libra partner is way more of a night guy and is way more of a night owl and is like very much we have like opposite energies in the morning. I'm just like, I woke up, let's do things. And then especially if I have alone time in the morning, I'm a different animal. I'll like paint the walls and rearrange the house for no reason and do all these complicated projects. And then he's like, good morning, where did this come from? Which I love. So having your sun in Libra in the fourth house could take a little bit to warm up, some would say. Libra suns are natural type of balancing acts. They get into situations whether they want to or not, and they become the mediator and the backbone, and they take over situations and provide structure for them. So we'll see if the Texans kind of lay out the law for the game today. Moving on into the fifth house, which is ruled by Venus. Venus is the fifth house is intercepted today. So I did mention creativity a lot when I was doing my research. Creativity for today's game is going to be huge. For the Texans, they have Vesta, Mercury, and the part of fortune doesn't count. So if you look at that 9 degrees little X, even if you don't know anything about astrology, but you know, like X-Men, and you can notice that little logo in the fifth house, that is what's known as the part of fortune, which is next to that little pink glyph in the fifth house. I don't know if you guys even know where I am. I am, like I said, looking in to get a pointer. So I'm really excited about that. Getting a pointer will be cool to be like, okay, I feel like John Madden now. The part of fortune, since that is based on time, these are the noon charts. So I did forget to explain that earlier, that I am using the noon charts for both the Texans and the Chiefs today. So Mercury here is going to be key. Having an intercepted fifth house usually shows up in my research and in my process so far as that energy being a little bit tougher to work through. Having Mercury, though, in that fifth house at 2 degrees, that is a power degree in degree theory. So if you're interested, that's also the degree of spilled perfume. And it's a degree that we had a lot of full moons a couple years ago, full moons and new moons around. So it's definitely been a degree that I've studied a lot. It is kind of like where you can ooze out and bleed out as well. Mars ruled Scorpio. My Mars is in Capricorn, so I was going to say Mars and Capricorn, but yeah. Mars ruled Mercury. Mars does rule over blood and that 2 degrees of Scorpio is a power degree and is very slicey, and it is a Taurus rule degree, so it's slicey and powerful. It's very interesting. I have a 2 degree sun in Aries square my 2 degree Saturn in Capricorn. So if I say that I cut like a knife sometimes, it's more like cuts like a smoldering hot knife. And being aware of that power is important. So the things that the Texans might say today could easily fire up the rest of the people on the field. They could mix words with the wrong person and get their asses beat. Who knows? Should be interesting to see how that plays out going into the Jupiter ruled 6th house. So since Jupiter is ruling over today's 6th house, Jupiter is in the 12th house, retrograde in Gemini. Jupiter hates being in Gemini, right? So if you have Jupiter in Gemini, it might feel like your life is one large joke. But I promise as you get older and you learn how to surf that wave of what Gemini offers. I have a Gemini moon, and my Gemini moon rules my chart. So to say that I trick myself and my own biggest adversary and op is myself would be an understatement. So I definitely relate to that. Today's game, health-wise, could be all about the hands, arms, lungs. That is what Gemini rules over in medical astrology, and also the nervous system. So this is all about feeling like a champion in your veins, feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling like you've got this in your core. Now, with Chiron, Lilith, Pluto, Juno, and Mars in here for the Texans. What a jam-packed, physical world they are bringing today with this game. I do believe that this is going to be a little bit of a tricky spot for them with all the Sagittarius energy. Yes, that means traveling well. Yes, that means showing up strongly. But that 22-degree Mars in Sagittarius in the 6th house does show to me that they're going to have injuries that might be pretty rough today, especially with leg injuries and hip leg injuries with that Sagittarius Mars. 22 degrees is the kill or be killed degree in astrology, so it is quite powerful. People say it isn't real, and then I'm like, you're not real. Degree theory is so real, and the 22 degree is so real. Whenever I see it in a chart, I have yet to miss. I'll put it that way, and I've seen thousands of charts, so go figure. Unfortunately, that does show up, like I said, with the leg injuries for the Texans. Looks like right before half or right at halftime or right after halftime. So that area is going to be tricky for the Texans. If they do have enough control, if they've been working on sliding, footwork, leg work. Of course, they're working on leg work. That's called exercise, running. But it's all about being able to control that. So seeing that jam-packed 6 outs for the Texans does raise a little bit of a red flag, and I do want to share that just because I would not be doing my job if I didn't. Going into the empty 7th house for the Texans, we see Mercury there for today's game. That Mercury is loosely opposing their palace, so they could have just some like wiring or insight issues. There could be wonky play calling for the Texans today. Seeing that their Neptune is at 1 degrees Aquarius, and that is Neptune retrograde, as well as the South Node and Uranus retrograde in the 8th house. All loosely conjunct today's Sun, Pluto, and Ceres. That will be a lot for their personal pride. They could easily pull the veil on how they really are as a team. This could be a very exposing situation, for the Texans. The South Node there in the 8th house is usually where I see the 8th house to me represents in sports astrology, like gambling odds, Vegas. So it's like Vegas, and they could be sudden changes. They could easily surprise us. They could easily make big changes. Do I think that they get this done? Not necessarily. with an empty ninth and 10th house. It doesn't really show a big, strong presence. And there is Saturn retrograde in Taurus in the 11th house intercepted, as well as their Jupiter retrograde in the 11th house intercepted. So they also have that Mercury opposite Jupiter, but with Mercury direct and Jupiter retrograde, that is something that takes a while to see success or luck. They could have like instant, like foundational success, but I think we have yet to see the Texans since like the JJ Watt era be like super dominant. But even when they were dominant, they had a lot of injuries that usually sent them back. So that, and then they had God, who was that guy that coached for them? He was insane. He also coached at Penn State. I don't know. I forget his name now. Bill O'Brien. Never mind. I got it. That dude was nuts. That's when I last paid attention to the Texans. So there's that. And yeah, I think if you guys know it by now, I do cheer for the Chiefs. I'm a Chiefs homer, so I don't try to hide that. Looking at today's Chiefs game, or not just the Chiefs game, but today's Chiefs matchup with the game. There we go. Where the Texans were heavy in the 6th house, the Chiefs are heavy in that 3rd house. So we look at the moon ruled 1st house, right? And we see the Chiefs North Node right there at 21 degrees Cancer. And that is loosely conjunct Mars retrograde in that 1st house. So will they have a slow start? Probably. They're not exactly going to kick into high gear until the 2nd half. So I will tell you that they will have a very loud presence. It's not going to be something that the Chiefs are just like not there or not competitive. They're going to have a large presence. They're going to be dominating on the field in longevity and range wise. I like to see Mercury and mercurial placements as like long range attack. They can hit you from the sky, they can hit you running, they can hit you from the underworld. Like you don't fucking know where Mercury's coming from. So having so many Mercury placements in that 3rd house, which is ruled by Mercury traditionally, since that is home to Gemini, it's going to be interesting. But let's not skip ahead. We got Pallas Athena in that 2nd house. So I do think the pace of the game is going to be about mind control and slowing down the ego, the pride, and the heart, and making sure that we're in the right place. And that's for everyone, really. But mostly the Chiefs, since they have Pallas there and it's in Leo, they also have Mars there. I need to drink some water in Leo. So look at this chart real quick. See what you observe, and then I'll drink water and I'll be back. I love this shirt so much. It's so ridiculous. And I think I love this shirt more. I know I said look at the chart, but I'm going to talk through that. I think I love this shirt more because I have a 7th house Mars. And the number one thing that people tell me when they first meet me is like, oh my God, you're so intimidating. You intimidate people. And I'm like, okay. I've been told that my entire life since childhood. So nothing new here. I'm a really warm and fuzzy person when you treat me with respect. So that's really it. I think that's everyone. I think the older you get, the more you're just like, yeah, no, I'm good on hanging out with people that don't respect me. I think that's just standards. You're just having standards. But it could take you a while if you have Capricorn placements to uphold those standards with your own life. So who knows? That was definitely my thing. Going into the Chiefs' 3rd house, which is ruled by the diabolical degree of Leo today. And so I think emotions and vocalizations of said emotions do show up a little bit louder today. And that's definitely evident with that diabolical degree of 18, which it's 18 degrees of any sign. It's not just Leo. So anytime you see 18 degrees in a chart, it is my dad's Pluto and Venus conjunction at this degree, and it's a chemist conducts an experiment for his students. So I think this could be a little bit of we are seeing people doing different ways of coaching, maybe some new play calling, some things for both sides of the ball. Should be interesting. The Chiefs having Mars there. They're going to get physical. They're going to be prideful, and it's just a matter of making sure that that is contained in a healthy manner. Having Uranus, the Ceres placement, and then Pluto and Juno there in the third house as well. Sudden changes in leadership communication styles could be back and forth a little bit. Yeah, the Chiefs have been warming up and they kind of flip flop back and forth with domination of the game. So nothing new there if you've been watching them all year. Going into the fourth house, where we see the fourth house starting at 15 degrees Virgo. The Chiefs have Vesta and Virgo there in the fourth house. So I think creating that fire within will sustain them and keep them going for this game. With the moon and south node there for the game already, I do think it's going to be a pretty, I would say, intense adventure. And it'll be interesting to see how they are critical of themselves, because I feel like they might be a little bit harsher on themselves than they need to be, because Virgo placements also do that very well. They judge themselves way more than others can judge them. That's kind of earth sign energy in general. Then we have going into the fifth house, we have the Venus ruled fifth house, and Venus is up there on the MC. So Venus is all about creativity and transforming that creative energy from, maybe like there's sometimes that Venus energy, you get inspired and like it's an art connection and you feel like super pulled to the artist, and that could be like a Neptune thing, but it's most likely a Venus thing where you like align with them, your values, your ideals, things like that. Having Venus synastry with an artist that you love can be really powerful and can really show some fun connections. Like if you ever, I don't know if other people do this, but whenever I find an artist or an actress or actor that I enjoy, I look up their chart, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if the reason that I enjoy them is because I can see parts of myself through them. So yeah, talk shit on celebrity astrology all you want. Public figures are there for us to learn from, and respectful and boundary setting manners. Like I think there's some times where people are a little bit too invasive with their I guess predictions or insights, but when it's people that are monsters like Drake and Diddy, I have no problem going in and being like, they will die behind bars like Diddy, or they will have a personal crisis this year, like I said about Drake last year. So yeah, it's just about having tact and ethics. And some people could benefit from classes from that. That's all I'll say. Going into that fifth house a little bit more for the Chiefs, we see it is intercepted. Like I said, that Scorpio, Neptune, and Lilith for the Chiefs will be there in between today's Vesta and Juno. So once again, asteroids are something that I am slowly developing with my sports astrology knowledge. And with that, it's like you get to learn all about what asteroids can bring, and I already use them a lot in my personal chart as well as my chart readings. I like to include them as little like insights for people. I also have been developing an asteroid reading for quite some time. I haven't done one in a while, mostly because I don't offer it publicly. So it's something that if you're watching this and you want one, email me and you can reach me and we can work something out. But definitely going to be cool to see how that develops in my sports astrology knowledge, is how the asteroids show up. Going into the empty sixth house for the Chiefs, this is why I'm not super concerned. I will say that Chiron and Venus and Saturn and Neptune and the North Node are all loosely conjunct Mahomes's Saturn in Pisces. So it's definitely going to be an interesting game. I feel like this is where he shuts down the conversation of him being injured or hurt, and he shows everybody how strong and powerful he truly is as a quarterback. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. The seventh house, which is ruled by Saturn in Pisces today, which is up in the 10th house. We were just talking about it. That shows the South Node for the Chiefs there at 21 degrees. I do feel like this is just they're comfortable with this team. They've faced them before. They will not feel too out of place here. With that being said, we go into the also Saturn ruled eighth house where the Chiefs don't have anything really there that we can see. There could be placements, asteroids, and aspects there that I don't have listed on this chart, which is fine. Going into the ninth house, which is also ruled by Saturn, we see the Chiefs Saturn at that 22 degrees. And since they have Saturn opposite Mars natally, that's something that I feel like is a balancing act. And this is the noon chart for the announcement. I haven't switched to the first game chart for all the teams yet. I'm not sure when that will happen, or really like if I just like merge the two, or if I use both of them still. I feel like there's been a lot of success with the noon charts that I've been using. So it's like, oh, maybe I just keep with this. I don't know. Work in progress as always. The 22 degree Saturn in Aquarius, though, is right there in the ninth house. So I feel like that's going to be stopping the away team from really doing too much damage. Kicking could be hard for the away team. Maybe the Chiefs block a kick or something. Who knows? That's how that kind of shows up with the Chiefs and their ninth house appearance. They could just be causing problems for the away team today. With that part of fortune in the ninth house in Pisces, at the Cancer degree. So once again, water energy today is just wild. I picked every single water sign today to go off in the game. So we'll see. Cancer is a little bit more like quick burst versus dominating whole games. I think that'll be just because of Mars retrograding Cancer at the moment. Okay. So with all that, with the away team and the travel team, which is in that ninth house, we go to the MC, which is ruled by Jupiter. The Chiefs have Jupiter in the 10th house, so I think that they do show up strongly today. Kids could be a big focus, or childlike energy, something about just children in general. So definitely going to be fun to see children on display possibly for today's game. Chiefs children. I don't know if Mahomes is bringing a baby to today's game. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see for sure. Then we have Venus, Mercury retrograde, and the moon for the Chiefs in the 11th house. And all of that's in Taurus, which is intercepted, like we mentioned, in the 11th house. So will today's game be super physical for them? Yes. Will they show up well physically? Maybe not till the end when they get their footing and they get their kind of like pace figured out. They could be really dominant towards the closer to the end of the game. And then we see their sun just at the very beginning of that 12th house. And I think that shows a spiritual spotlight on the Chiefs more so than it does showing them getting got today. So looking at that Chiefs chart was great, but more importantly, let's move on into the tri-wheel. And then I think I have fun charts after this. I don't know. I think I have one. I forgot. I just did this like 20 minutes ago, but I forgot already, so it's fine. That has nothing to do with the cannabis I've been smoking. This is a premium blend for mental stimulation, which I'm pretty excited about. It's called Grandpa's Stash from Elevate, in case you're wondering. Elevate is an incredible grower here in Kansas City that does wonders, so big fan. The tri-wheel for today's game makes it look a little bit more obvious when I'm talking about the outer wheel will be the Texans and the Chiefs will be in that middle wheel, and then the game is in that inner wheel. So if you just look like you're in a few levels of Dante's Inferno, I apologize. That's not the case. I think this is why when it went viral, like these synastry charts can be so overwhelming for people when they see them for the first time. I think it like triggered a primordial response from so many people, and that's when my Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce chart went viral. But I got to meet a lot of cool people out of that. Okay, one of the things that I absolutely love about the Chiefs community online is the amount of people that found me again or found me for the first time because of that viral tweet. Speaking of which, shout out to Celeste, my good friend out in California that has been tuning into all of the streams for the season, big Chiefs fan as well, and has really encouraged me to keep going in a very in a not like a background manner by any means, but when I went viral, Celeste was one of the first people to be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool! You should do more. I want to see this. I want to see that." And it really inspired me to create a show, create like between Amanda, Sophia Nova on Twitter, and Celeste, and my cheerleaders, and all of the people in my life. I call my cheerleaders my sports betting crew. They are all powerful women in sports betting, and they are insanely dominant at what they do and so good at what they do. And I just get to be like the friendly neighborhood witch that kind of guides them along and helps them find the things that they're meant for, and, helps them read the energies. And I think that's really cool. But I have a really, really, really solid support team, including my best friend down in Miami, of so many people that are like, Gracey, you're really good at this, so keep going. So shout out to everybody that's been tuning in so far. But Celeste, I appreciate you. So that was my way of saying, hey, thanks for watching all of this and encouraging me to continue going, because this is a lot. Like putting the shows together and being on camera and sharing all this stuff with you live can be a lot, and doing it week after week after week while I have so much going on in my own home and household, it's like, wow, okay, I really can do this. And it's been really fun, so that helps. All right, so we've had some time to look at this chart. We've had some time to yap. I am now doing the thing that I like to do where I tell you all the stuff, all of my predictions. I have my handy dandy note card that I wrote things down on on the back of my aunt's New Year's message. So sorry, Aunt Carol. Today's numbers to watch for and signs to watch for is brought to you by me. I've decided to sponsor this segment with my Astrology of 2025 book. So this segment is sponsored by Ninth House Publishing, which is also me. And if you've ever wondered what Gemini placements are, it's just a long line of clones. And that's what I'm doing. Is I have all of my projects and energies formed into little entities like this, where it's like the Astrology of 2025. And I got to work with 3 other brilliant astrologers on this book, and we all combined our brain power and our knowledge to pour into the rituals and the guidelines of all the things that you find in this book, including the worksheets. There are a lot of worksheets in here. Can I just show my favorite? Because I know I was going to show this last time, but not only is there a place for you to learn your chart, there's also what is a Time Lord? And you can find all the things that annual perfection years, like you get to learn about all the houses and all the things. And it's like, it's so freaking helpful. I'm over here looking at this, but it's so helpful. And if you're new to astrology and you only know your age, it can also tell you themes about like where you're going this year because of that. So yeah. So this segment is sponsored by me, and just one of my other various forms of ways I've built things out. Today's numbers to watch for are going to be 6, 7, 11, 22, 24, 29, 59, 72, 83, and 95. The signs to watch for are Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. I told you, all water signs. Sagittarius, Capricorn, and finally Virgo. I have not said that Virgos are going to have fun in quite some time. I apologize for that, because that has been Patrick Mahomes's stressful season stretch there, when it's just been like the last few degrees of the South Node in Libra. His Mercury in Libra was feeling that for quite some time. I feel as though this superpower, only Virgos, and I have a Virgo South Node in IC and part of Fortune, so I understand this energy, and I was raised by a 7th house Virgo. Only Virgos could become more powerful when a negative transit hits them. Like the South Node hitting your personal planets and placements is usually a very uncomfortable feeling, right? But for a Virgo, they want the uncomfortable. They want to know what they're up against. They want to know the depths of it. They like being uncomfortable because it causes them to change and get better. Mercurial placements are constantly changing and growing. They are constantly transforming. They're constantly learning. They're constantly getting better. And if you think you know a Mercury ruled person, wait a month and they're going to be a totally different person. And they might not be a totally different person visually, but they're going to feel like a totally different person. And they continue to alchemize so much on a daily basis. And I really do respect Virgos. Do I want to smoke weed with Virgos? No, I do not. That sounds like a nightmare. I feel like I would be babysitting their paranoia or thinking that an organization is out to get them. That has been my experience smoking weed with Virgos. It's very intense, or it's like, oh my gosh, I've smoked weed with Virgos with like a lot of like heavy Leo placements, and it's like you're now in their personal storytelling soap opera, and that can be fun. It can also feel a little bit like you're trapped. So my least likely or least favorite sign to smoke weed with would be Virgo. My most positive sign would probably be Pisces. I love a Pisces detachment session. It's fun. Going into the like energies to watch and all that. This game, like I mentioned, I believe is going to have the Chiefs as pretty defensive based on the first half and really just making sure that they don't let words mix up. They don't let ego and pride get in the way of things, and they are balanced that way. For the Texans, I believe managing their physical health, and we're going to see probably injuries closer to the right at the end of the first half or beginning of the second half for them. Leg injuries for the Texans could be big today with that 22 degrees Mars in the sixth house. Sagittarius rules over legs, hips, and all that. So it's like I feel as though there could be quite some burst of energy as well. It doesn't necessarily have to mean energy or injuries. The energy that is here could be like burst of energy and a lot of like running today for the Texans. So the matchup wise, I do believe the Chiefs will be winning by 10 points today. My reasoning is just in that 10th house Jupiter placement. So that 10 degrees Aries Jupiter, I think helps elevate things today a little bit for the Chiefs. And they might look like the childlike, fun-having team that everybody in Kansas City knows and loves. So I'm looking forward to it. I definitely feel like it's going to be a fun game to watch. So there are my predictions. Chiefs by 10. Numbers to watch are 6, 7, 11, 22, 24, 29, 59, 72, 83, 95. That's on both sides of the ball. The signs to watch: Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Virgo. Super pumped about that. Let's look at the extras. Don't worry, I didn't add anything on here, so I'm going to do it now. See, I wondered what was on this screen, and now we know. It's nothing. Here is Noah Gray's chart, just because, yeah, the whole fucking thing. There it is. Today's game I have on the inner wheel, as the inner ring, inner wheel, whatever you want to call it. Take a look. Zevia. This one is sponsored by Zevia. I love Zevia. It's great. You guys should try it if you haven't already. All right, Noah Gray's chart. Noah Gray is tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs that I was lucky enough to grab his birth time back in, I think, 2022, 2023. Time blurs together. Noah has quite a large presence today with his part of fortune being on the ascendant. I think he has a great way of showing up today, helping the pace of the game. His moon in the fifth house shows creativity and pushes in creativity, as well as his Mars at 1 degrees retrograde in Scorpio. in Scorpio. I kind of like that. His Chiron in the sixth house, he could be a little bit wobbly at first on his legs, or could take some time finding his legs. But then when he does, his Mercury and Jupiter in that 10th house, I think he shines today as well with his Saturn and Sun conjunction in that 11th house. I think Noah Gray, like just having Sun and Saturn conjunct in Taurus like that, that it just shows his longevity and his endurance and his capabilities there. I that might show up in the game as not getting warmed up completely until later. But with his Venus in Gemini in that 12th house, that's all about his hands. So hopefully today he doesn't have any problems using his hands. But if he drops some balls or anything like that, it could just be because of that Venus and Gemini there in the 12th house. So close to Jupiter retrograde. So it could take a while for him to get on his feet, but I do think he has a solid game today. That moon in the 5th house with his Mars as well, kind of showing out. I know it's an intercepted 5th house, but I do think that the moon and Mars in there kind of inspires him to be creative, maybe because of his first maybe back and forth performance. Like I'm not going to say poor performance, but I want to say like maybe back and forth. So maybe because of that, he gets inspired and emotionally charged, does some creative stuff today with his hands, and uses his physical fortitude to, really get it done. So this might be my shortest game prediction yet. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. I wanted to be able to enjoy my morning, since I have my Good Morning Friends and Haters shirt on from Emily Simpson's line. Super excited for her birthday today. And also, if you missed it, I did a whole astrological breakdown of her chart on my YouTube channel. The whole idea of having a feature on the Housewives is because I'm like, all right, if I have football and I have something for the guys, then I have a whole nother side of like the girliest, most ridiculous, like spiritual, divine, feminine energy ever. I just don't really show it a lot because I've been in sports and male dominated industries my entire life. Before sports, the horse business, male dominated. Before that, working with my dad's company in feasibility studies, it's very stats and research based, very male dominated. So I have been doing some things that I feel like will be fun to see in the spring. I'm working on a project with a dear friend of mine for their project launch, and possibly working that through my publishing house. So if you've just tuned into Ninth House Publishing and you're only familiar with our first book, The Astrology of 2025, see, Ninth House Publishing. Am I doing that backwards? Yes. Ninth House Publishing right there. I'm not Vanna White. I'll just put that out there. Really, really appreciate you guys for supporting that. Like, Ninth House Publishing is my baby, and I started it in October, and now we already have a book. So 1 book down, 1 million more to go. If I publish 1 million books in my lifetime, somebody take away my keyboard. What in the world? Who knows? It'll be other people's books. I'm not just publishing my own. However, I'm really excited about where this is going and where we are heading as a publishing company. I think I'm going to build it out this year and see where it goes. I'm changing a lot of things with my magazine. The spring equinox issue will feature yours truly on the cover, because I was like, hey, I've always wanted to be on the cover of a magazine, so maybe I'll just be on the cover of my own magazine. And that's going to be really exciting. And I have that to look forward to. And redoing that kind of vision, I will be making updates to my YouTube channel, because I'm really good at talking, which is funny because I grew up with a speech impediment. So now that I talk for a living, it's kind of mind-blowing at times. That speech impediment shows up in my chart as 12th house, Chiron, square my North Node, and Pisces. It's fine. Knowing that it's been written into my chart to have a speech impediment, I'm like, all right, whatever. I just don't even question astrology anymore. I simply learn and adapt with it. So that's pretty cool. But my YouTube channel is going to be going into the basics. I'm going to be starting with how to read your chart and I'll have a pointer by then so I can show you these things. I'll have free videos on how to read your chart, free everything on my YouTube. I'll be building it out with the help of my brilliant editor and creative guru, Anusha with Creatives Bazaar. If you guys haven't already checked her out and looked up Creatives Bazaar and seen all the magical work that she does, just look at my website. Take a look at my website, northernastrology.com. It is a masterpiece. It's like the Sistine Chapel of websites. I had a very heavy, intense, and kind of dreary website, which is very, very Saturn dominant of me to have. And Anusha literally transformed the entire thing to this visionary collection, the perfect colors, the perfect palette. Like, she did the research on me. I don't like feeling seen. I don't like being perceived. I don't like people knowing shit about me. That's why my private life is so private. Like, I cannot even tell you how little people truly know about what goes on in my daily life. Like, people who talk to me on a daily basis there's like 3 people that I talk to on a daily basis. And even then it's like, do you get an answer from me right away? Maybe, who knows? I'm very much somebody that keeps it private unless you are, very close to me. Even my private Instagram that I only have like 60 people that I allow to follow me, I barely post on there. So no one really knows what I'm doing every day unless you're in my home and in my household. So that's kind of fun. But I like to give as much of myself as I can. Like, I share as much of my journey as I can. I've been thinking, and you guys can chime in if you have any insights on this. I've been thinking about writing a book about my Saturn return and having that perspective. And of course, everyone has a Saturn return story. If you've existed between the ages of 28 and 30 and you've lived to see through those, congrats. You have survived your Saturn return and you have a story to tell. So it's not just going to be about me and my stories. I will definitely be including different voices from that because I have not experienced all the Saturn returns. I have only experienced mine. So I'll be telling stories from my family, telling stories from other astrologers, definitely be doing that. So I want to include as many voices as I can as I journey through astrology because the last thing I want to do as an Aries sun is be responsible for a group of people. Okay. Not trying to start a cult. I have no interest in that. I'm not trying to start a Northern Astrology community. Like, no, don't look at me as your cult leader. I am not your leader. I am simply the one that can show you your magic within. I can show you your magic that already lives within you, whether you know about it or not, right? This is something that lives within you, cannot be taken from you. And no matter what you've dealt with in life, which, I am very sensitive and aware of trauma-based practices and ways to help people out of that. So I do have experience and psychological background as well. So I'm not just sitting here and telling you, you'll be fine, just meditate. Like, that's completely not helpful, right? You got to be sensitive to what you've gone through and what shaped you, as well as the experiences that the stars have predetermined for you. So sometimes they coincide. Sometimes, it takes a really long amount of time before you can look back and see how things coincided and correlated and worked together and how things were predetermined for you. But when you do, I promise it's like this Band-Aid moment, and it's like this, you rip the Band-Aid off and you're like, I don't even need this anymore. The wound is healed. I'm good. So that's the one thing I can say about astrology is it is life-changing. And if you don't believe me, that's fine too. Book a reading with me if you want. Send me your chart. I don't bite. I'm a great person to communicate with, and I love reaching out to new people to work with. Like, I've been reaching out lately with my Housewives series with all the housewives informing. I've got Aquarius season locked down with Bryn Whitfield, who is a quintessential Aquarius, and have her birth time from a couple years ago when I asked her. And then I have a few more coming up for Pisces, Aries, and then Taurus. I'm really excited about Taurus season because there's so many options that I could go with for astrology readings. So definitely excited about that one, as well as Cancer too. So it'll be really fun. I'm excited to see where it takes me, but the Housewives series is going to be going for a while. I'm going to be working, like I said, on that magazine for spring equinox. I've got a roundtable that is like a casual, not the formal one, not the formal round table thing that we did with the astrology of 2025. That will be back out on April 1st. I know a lot of people have been watching the January, February, and March videos on YouTube, but if you're interested in what's going on in the astrology of 2025, I've got all that covered on YouTube. So you've got 4 different astrologers, 4 opinions, 4 viewpoints, 4 levels of experience. I think combined with all of us, we have like decades of experience in astrology. So that's pretty cool. We've got that on YouTube. I'm going to be growing that a lot more with the quote unquote off season. I'll be doing athlete profiles as well. So various athletes that I have confirmed birth times from, I will be featuring as what makes an athlete. Like, yeah, there's I Am Athlete podcasts and all that, but it's like what makes an athlete in astrology. We're going to be looking at people that are truly athletic and gifted from not just Chiefs, but from all sports except soccer. I'm sorry, Europe. I just don't get it. I grew up in a rugby household, so that's a sport that I understand more than I understand soccer. So go figure. I played soccer, and it was very nap-inducing for me. To me, soccer is like golf. So once again, I apologize. I know a lot of people love golf and soccer. I could say the same about tennis, but it's just not my thing. I love football. I love UFC, boxing, all that stuff. Love would be a strong thing. I'm not like into watching the violent part, but I like doing the charts and the astrology of it all. Looking into horse racing would be super fun just because I'm like, these horses are worth so much money. People have to know what time they're born, and like tracking that would be super cool. So who freaking knows where I'm going? Okay. Who freaking knows where I will be taking my sports astrology live series? Who knows where I'll be going with this? This could be a game where the Chiefs are one and done with the playoffs. Do I see that happening? No. But like, I gotta say that it's been a ride so far. So I feel like I've had a great season. I am the only game I screwed up was the Bills game, and I even had a dream that they lost, and I still ignored it. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna not listen to this. And it's like God was even like, hey, listen up for your prediction. It's not gonna happen. And I just went against it anyways, and that was on me. I learned a little bit, but that made me 16-1 for the regular season. I'm looking to making that 17-1 for this season. I'm just going to include the playoffs in the record. It'll be fine because it's a whole season technically with the playoffs included. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So if you haven't already, like I said, we are fully in stock on Amazon, the astrology of 2025, your cosmic guide to the year ahead. Put us back in the bestsellers. Come on. Amazon screwed up. They didn't let us have a in stock book for like 2 weeks, so we dipped down on the charts, but I know that we can get back up there. I know my mom's getting a book today, so that's pretty exciting. I'm really happy for her. Like, hey, that'll be really good for you, Mom. I also thought I was going to sneeze there for the last 30 seconds, so please excuse me. With that being said, I am going to be heading out for the day. I look forward to this game. Like I said, I have the Chiefs winning by 10. The numbers to watch for are 6, 7, 11, 22, 24, 29, 59, 72, 83, and 95. The signs to watch for: Cancers, Pisces, Scorpios, Sag, Capricorn, Virgo. All of them. Sagittarius, Capricorn, Virgo. All the water signs. It's going to be a fun game. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope that I could set the tone for you a little bit with the kind of energy ahead. I think that it's important to really understand that sports astrology is about a tone of a game and how all those parts work together. And it's not just one planet or one thing that sticks out that you can predict. You have to look at a lot of it. And knowing the quarterback's charts also helps. So I didn't do that today. You can feel free to do that in your spare time. I'm looking forward to seeing all the different ways that you guys show up and predict your own predictions. So this is it for today. I will not be covering any other team besides the Chiefs in the playoffs. So I will do a Super Bowl chart no matter who is in the Super Bowl. So that is something to look forward to. But Other than that, I'm super excited to be here. Once again, my name is Gracey with Northern Astrology. Please check out all of my links and all of my other things that I offer for free, including an Astrology 101 guidebook that for some reason I didn't remember that I had until now. If you want to learn astrology and you have no idea where to start, I have a free 101 guidebook that walks you through the signs, the houses, the degrees. No aspects in there yet. I am building it as we speak. So, yeah, it's all free. So, yeah, it's fun. You can download a bunch of my magazines, as well as I do have a Rose of Venus guidebook that is all about the Venus synodic cycle on my website as well. So yeah, just get over there and check it out. I'll see you guys next time.